Okay, today looking at some FOC measurements and how things change based on point weight. This is my standard length hunting arrow. So from the throw to the nock, it's 29 3/4 inches long, and we'll take some measurements and mark where the FOC is based on different point weights. So what I've got here is a 100 grain, 125, 145, 175, a 200, got about a 225 right here, and a 250. And I'm going to measure the midpoint of the arrow, mark it, and then measure where the how the FOC changes over these point weights. So here we go. So the first thing you determine is where is the center of the arrow, from the tip without a point to the throat of the nock. And the length of this is 29 3/4, so 29.75 divided by 2 equals, so 4.87. So we'll just say 14.9. So let's measure that, and we'll put a little piece of tape on it. Okay, so here's 14.75. We're going to call this right here, we're going to just center it. Well, I guess I'll put it like that, just so that the edge of it will be just under 14.9. Alright, so there's the center of the arrow toward the fletching. Just slightly put it on there, so it's on this side. So there's the center of the arrow. Now with nothing on it, no point, you can see it doesn't balance on that. It will not balance because there's no point on it. So start with the first point, and we're going to start measuring FOC. So we take our first point, move that over. This is 100 grain. Alright, so when you've got this, you got about this nock weighs about 30 grains, fletching weighs about 5 total. So you got 35 grains on the back, now you got 100 on the front. Now it's going to change, make your FOC is going to change because you put 100 grains on the front. Okay. Alright, there's that. So there is the FOC based on a 100 grain point, and let's mark that with a piece of tape. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure each one of these based on these weights. The FOC, I'm going to first mark them with a black magic marker, and then I'm going to put tape on them. So let's go to the next weight, see how much that changes it. Okay, that's the 100. All right, 124, 122, that's close. All right, let's do that. Only a couple grains off. Let's see where that goes. Okay, ½ inch, probably. All right, let's go to the next point weight. All right, 145, 144, close enough. Okay, where does that take it? All right, looks like it's going about a ½ inch at a time. We'll do the math on percentages with FOC when we get done with that. Okay, so I taped all these. This is the center point of the arrow based on length. And then each one of these black marks is the corresponding 100 grain, starting with 100 grain all the way to 250. So let's just look at the numbers and we'll start doing the math. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the difference between the center of the arrow and the balance point, and then divide that by the length of the arrow, and that'll give me the FOC. So let's do that. That's probably 5/8, 2 5/8. So, okay, 5 divided by 8 We gotta do it in decimals. 5 divided by 8 equals, okay, 0.625. So 2.625 divided by 29.75 equals, okay, so this FOC is 8% for a 100 grain point. All right, let's do the next one. Okay, this is, we'll say 3/16. So 3 divided by 16 equals 0.188, I guess. Okay. So 3.188 divided by 29.75 equals, okay, 10.7. I probably need to be writing these numbers down. Okay, so I wrote these down. 100 grains, 8% FOC. 125 grains, 10.7. All right, let's do the next one. Okay, so this is 100, 125, this is 145, and that is 3.75. 3.75 divided by 29.75 equals, all right, 12.6% FOC. Okay, next one. Okay, so 100, 125, 145, 175 is 1, 2, 3. That's 3/8. So 3 divided by 8, 0.375. So 4.375, 4.375 divided by 29.75 arrow length equals, all right, 14.7% FOC. Okay. Next one. 100, 125, 145, 175, 200. Okay, that's right on the dot. Divided by 5. Okay, 5, I'm sorry, 5 divided by, all right, 5 inches divided by 29.75 equals, all right, we're at 16.8%. Okay, the 225 is the second one from the end, and it's, we'll call this, let's see, 4/8, it's 5, that's going to be 9/16. 9 divided by 16 equals, okay, 0.563. All right, 5.563. 5.563 divided by 29.75 equals, okay, 18.7. And the last one is 6 even. So 6 divided by 29.75 equals, so that's at 20.2%. And something I want to go back and do is measure all these arrow weights, and I'll throw them on there too. So let me do that. Okay, so here's the numbers. So 100 grain point on this arrow system, 1916, 29 3/4 inches long. Might as well just write that on here. So this is a 1916 arrow, and it's 29 3/4 inches long. Four-inch feathers, and lighted knock. And I leave a lighted knock on there because I'm not going to give it up. Camera picks it up better, my eye picks it up better. You can find your arrow, and I'm just not willing to give up my lighted knock. If I took the lighted knock off there and put a regular knock, I probably would achieve, like 22, 23% FOC with the regular knock, but I'm not giving up my lighted knock, so point lost. All right, so 100 grains, 8% FOC, 125, This is all the arrow weights too. So 108, 458 grains, 125, 10.7% FOC, 483 grains, 145, 12.6, 503, 175, 14.7 FOC, 533 grains, 200 grain point, 16.8% FOC, 558 grains total arrow weight, 225, 18.7. So you're approaching that 19% magical FOC where that physics takes over and the point starts pulling the arrow. And that's 583 grains, 250 grain point, 20.2% at 608 grains total arrow weight. So what's all this mean? Well, if you throw all this out, you want to bare shaft tune and get the best arrow flight, because it's better to be shooting a 483 grain arrow that shoots perfectly straight than to go up here and shoot a 608 or 583 and it's going at an angle to the target. And we'll shoot a few points to show what 100 grain, how it flies, and then maybe throw a 250 on there and then come back to a 175 and to show what bare shaft tuning does for arrow flight with different point weights. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 100 grain point, 175 grain point, and a 250 and shoot those and show the difference. Okay, this is 250 grains up front. Just going to be shooting at 15 yards, and we should get a substantial knock left because it's too much point weight. I'm going to hold the bow straight up and down and come over. Just come over, steer and lug, push away, grip. Steer at the back of the lungs. 1, 2. So you can see substantial knock left. All right, let's put a real light point on it. Okay. So this is really light point, 100 grains. Straight up and down. Armor lock, push away, grip. Come to the center lug, stare at the target. Watch for arrow flight. It should be knock right. Ready? Oh my gosh. I mean, that goes to show you when you are so out of whack with your point weight that an arrow can actually slap an animal. I've heard of it doing that, and there's your proof on camera. Good gosh. All right, let's go to the right arrow point weight. Okay, 170 grain point. Should be matched to it. Let's try this. Come to the back lung, stare the target. Ready? 1, 2. And that is perfect left and right. When you shoot fingers, you're never going to get it perfect, but that shows what a bare shaft matched to the point does. So looking at all these, this is just a relative measurement. There are some advantage of having a higher FOC. Two things that raised FOC does for you is that when your arrow flexes and goes around the bow, you have what's called archer's paradox. A heavier point weight, higher FOC, will make your arrow recover from archer's paradox more quickly before it hits the animal, hits the target. And also, the more forward you have, the more forward weight you have, on lighter arrows, lighter spined arrows with heavy points, you'll actually get less arrow flex on impact when it hits the animal. And that's not necessarily based, it's based on the FOC, but it's also based on the weight of the arrow shaft. Heavier arrow shafts tend to bend more on impact. And the more bend or flex you have in your arrow on impact, the less penetration you're going to get. From shaft friction and from the shaft absorbing the energy that you really want to target to absorb. The flex of the arrow will absorb the energy of the arrow and reduce its penetration. So, high FOC, quicker recovery from archer's paradox, and less shaft bend on a light shaft, light spined arrow on impact with a heavy point. And that gives you increased penetration. So that's why you want FOC. All right, here's going to be the setup. Here's my gaps. 175 grades, about a 530 grain arrow, showing around 15% FOC, 1916. This has got feathers on it. Lock, push away grip. What's my gap? 10 inches high. All right, let's say 6 inches low. Ready? 1, 2. There you go. Ta-da! All right, 15 yards. Cant the bow, over knock and lock. We're shooting 4 inches high. I think 6 o'clock, stare at the target. Ready? You're dead. I think 25 yards. All right, oh knock, lock, push away grip, swing slowly to the target. Plop. Back of the lung liver shot, but anyway, you get the idea. Looking for arrow flight. There you go, 25 yards. So, part of the point here is, what do you want? Do you want high, super high FOC? Or do you want an arrow that flies perfectly straight? And the answer is an arrow that flies perfectly straight. If you can achieve this and have a straight flying arrow, sure, go with a higher weight if that's what you want. But arrow flight, broadhead integrity, and arrow flight trump everything. And 533 grains is no slouch, and it's 14.7. Anything over 12% is considered high FOC anyway. But the magic of part of the FOC is to get above this 19%. And there's some things that go on with physics that occur where the point is actually pulling the arrow versus the arrow pushing the point. And because of the FOC, it recovers from Archer's paradox quicker. It bends around the bow, and higher FOC recovers quicker because you've got more lever back here with the feathers on. And also, a lighter shaft will not bend as much on impact. People think, oh, a lighter shaft will bend more. No, a lighter shaft bends less because of the weight of the shaft itself. If you have a heavier shaft, even if it's stiffer, on impact, because of the weight of the shaft itself, you will get more arrow flex on impact than on a light arrow with a heavy point. Physics has proved it. There you go.